Did you know that narcissists develop new masks for different supplies, for different people that come into their lives? A lot of narcissism is very much the same and is compelled with a lot of the same reasons, but what you see oftentimes will shift and oftentimes will change based on the people that they are around. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness, growth, healing, and change. The founder of Raw Motivations, the creator of the NARC app, and your guide in the 45-day Clarity Challenge that you can access at claritychallenge.net. If you like what you see here, talking about narcissism, narcissistic abuse, or sharing some of my story about my journey in narcissism, then please subscribe. Hit the little notifications so you can get notified whenever we post a new video, whenever we go live on some of our social media platforms. Would love to have you subscribe and be a part of the community today. Well, today I want to talk to you about the aspect about narcissists have masks. And a lot of people know they have masks, they have different things to be able to put in front of them, to be able to hide themselves from the world, to be able to hide themselves of what's actually going on underneath. Well, today I want to explain some about the mask and how it looks different when we talk about going from person to person. Now, when we talk about the mask in general, the aspect of the narcissist and having the mask, sometimes people get this confused thinking that they love themselves, when in reality, a narcissist is in love with the mask. You see, most narcissists actually hate themselves. They hate what they're actually doing. They hate what's actually going on inside. And as a result, they build a mask. They build a false persona that they're going to put out there to be able to hide the person that is underneath. The mask does a couple different things. The mask hides insecurities. They hide the things that are inside that they don't want to be able to share or they don't want to have exposed. You see, a lot of times the mask will hide an insecurity by the narcissist being like, yeah, I already know how to do that. I'm already the best at this. Did you know I already did this? I already accomplished this. I'm so good at X, Y, and Z. And they'll list out a bunch of things that they've never even done before. But it hides the insecurities of wait a second, I don't know how to do this. I'm going to say I know how to do this. I have an accomplished this. I'm going to say I've accomplished it so that I feel better about myself. For me, a big aspect of putting up a mask to be able to hide stuff is that I don't know everything. But I want to portray that and I want to communicate that to other people to make them feel and think that I always knew everything. This would happen a lot of times in business, and it didn't help my ego that as I learned about a particular aspect of business when I worked for Chick-fil-A, and I did that for 10 years, ran different things, all different kind of stuff. But when I got to a place that I knew so much, it just inflated my ego even more because I always had an answer to solve a person's problem. I always knew what we needed to do to fix the issue. But if I didn't, a lot of times I would hide that to be able to hide the insecurity that I actually didn't know or that I had to learn something new. Well, the mask oftentimes hides insecurities. It also hides the guilt and shame. It hides the aspect of who I actually am underneath. You see, narcissism is running away a lot of times from guilt and shame. And what it does is it says, hey, I just did something that was bad. Guilt. That's the aspect of guilt. I did bad. And then shame comes up almost instantly. And it's not just I did something bad, but it is I am bad. And how that changes and how that morphs with the mask is wait a second, this mask says I'm a good person. What do I do? I actually did something bad, which means I'm a bad person. That doesn't match up with the mask. And a lot of times you'll see things that actually change because of that. Well, it shields guilt and shame from them. It's not who I am. I'm a good person. But it also does the flip side, and it creates more shame. It creates the same thing that they're trying to avoid. It's very circular in reasoning. But when it comes down to it, it shields of oh, this is going to protect me from the guilt and shame. But then it also creates more guilt and shame because it's incongruent with who they are. And anybody, narcissists or not, anybody that is living their lives incongruent with who they are and the direction they want to go is left in an awkward limbo, in an awkward mindset. And for the narcissist, they just go to the place of let me just gaslight myself, convince myself that it's okay, that it doesn't matter, that it's their fault, whatever it has to be so I can move on. Okay. Well, one of the biggest confusions when we talk about the mask is the next person. When the narcissist goes to the next person, the new supply, the girlfriend, the boyfriend, the person they cheated on, like whoever it might be, okay, when they go to the next person, a lot of times people are like, wait a second, this looks completely different. Like they just like changed overnight. Like they're not the person that I thought they were. Like they're completely better. They seem healthy. It seemed like they're having this great relationship. Like I don't actually get it. What's going on? Well, typically that's because the mask is customized based on the target. The person that the narcissist is trying to get in bed with, or that is trying to get that status, or is trying to get money from, or is trying to develop a relationship with, that person is the next narcissist target. Now, is it normally thought about that way from the narcissist? No. Is it normally like scripted out of like, you are my target? No, not necessarily, okay? But what is put out there is customized based on that person, what that person likes, what that person wants, what that person's insecurities are, what their vulnerabilities are. The things about that person are going to mold and shift the mask that the narcissist is creating to get a connection from them. Now, for me, I thought that some of that mask building and mask creation was a connection strategy to interact with another person to develop a relationship fast. All in my mind, convincing myself that it was okay, that it was healthy, that this is how it works, and this is how we develop a relationship. But in reality, I was saying, hey, I don't know who I am. And all I'm doing is morphing and adjusting different pieces of me, sticking things on me that make sense to you, that you like, that you want, that you have developed in your life. And as a result, you see those and you're like, oh my gosh, we're like soulmates because I love that person because they like X, Y, and Z. And I'm on the other side being like, I don't really care about X, Y, and Z, but if it means I get with you, I love it. You know, that's the flip. Oftentimes the mask is developed on the fly. Like in the moment, I do that too. Really? I love that. Like the connection points. Like those are what build the mask really, really quickly. You listen to that, I listen to that too. Oh my gosh, like they're like one of my favorite bands. I used to listen to them all the time. I just don't right now because I don't have time, you know. And all of a sudden there's a development happen. And the whole goal with this is for the narcissist to work on deceiving the other person. Oftentimes when we talk about narcissism, we're talking about deceive, lie, and deny. Do whatever we can to be able to get with that person, around that thing, whatever the accomplishment is, whatever it might be. But the goal is like, let me go ahead and learn about you on the fly so I can control you. So I can interact with you in a way that, hey, is like, hey, I now have control over your insecurities and your vulnerabilities. A lot of times a narcissist will detect those things, will feel those things, will sense those things, and will notice really quick. And as a result, they'll be able to control you and develop that connection really fast. Well, the mask is also, it's developed on the fly, but then it also is supported by a lot of times research, intel, observation of you. Sometimes this is just going through and stalking your Facebook profile, your Instagram, your TikTok. Sometimes it's going through and figuring out who your connections are, what people you interact with, what people you get close to, your best friends, different things like this to be able to say, okay, this person is a threat to the relationship, so I got to isolate them from this. This person isn't really that big of a deal, so I can connect with them and it'll produce a connecting point. There's all different types of things that a narcissist will do that will confuse you because of how they're interacting with the next person. Okay, but you have to remember, the mask is customizable based on the target. It's developed a lot of times on the fly, have to develop it really quick, and then it's supported by research, by intel, and by observation. Well, a lot of times the new supply, it's like they change for them, like they're completely different. No. The answer is they're not completely different. They haven't changed. The mask that you're seeing is brand new. Okay? You might notice something that you wanted be something that the new supply gets. A dream vacation, a perfect house, a good relationship, a good moment. Like you're noticing different things. You're like, wait a second, that's what I always wanted. I always wanted them to get into therapy. They're starting with the next person in therapy. Like, what is going on? What you have to realize is what might have been something that they could leverage you with might not be something they could leverage the next person with. Each person is different. Each personality is different. Each want and desire is different. So many times people get out of a narcissistic relationship and they want to apply their relationship to the next relationship, thinking that the next person is going to have the same likes, desires, all these different things, and it doesn't work that way. Everybody has a different personality. Everybody has different pieces to them. And so when you look at the next person and you're like, I don't understand, they're getting stuff that I wanted, well, you don't know what that person wants. Oftentimes it's something different than what you wanted, but the narcissist knows what you wanted, and they take that and apply that to the next relationship to hopefully prolong the time that they're able to spend with that person before the mask has to slip. Okay? Oftentimes, the next person, they're only going to believe what the narcissist constructs, what the narcissist puts together. And you have to remember that the new mask is meant to capture and to control. It's not meant to nurture. It's not meant to help or anything like that. It's meant to capture and control. Okay, last but not least, you'll be tempted to compare your reality with their new mask. You'll be tempted to think maybe this is what's actually happening when it's not. It's just a new mask. And oftentimes this will be done to mess with you, to hurt with you, to confuse you, to a place that you're like, wait a second, I'm so confused. Maybe I was the bad person when in reality you weren't. But that's how they make you feel by being with the next person. So you have to be really, really careful about that. Okay? You have to understand that if you start going down that path, you're going to end up pain shopping. You're going to end up with the trauma bond. You're going to end up going back. You're going to end up looking like a crazy person trying to be with them when they're already with someone. There's many different aspects of this. Well, I hope today some of this information has helped you and understand a little bit more about the mask. This is what I do on a day-to-day basis as I work with people from all across the globe on Zoom calls, trying to help people get clarity, help them actually break free from the trauma bond, that mindset of I know this person's toxic, but I still want to go back, that type of a thing. I try to help people break free from that, to be able to rewire their mindset and to be able to set healthy boundaries moving forward, to not go back to the narcissist and to not get with a toxic person down the road. If you'd like some of that help or some of that closure, I can walk you through some of the questions that you have. Please reach out today. Go to rawmotivations.com, click on one-on-ones. Would love to be able to work with you, partner with you, and help you in your healing today.